What I hope that comes from this is that people learn the true facts and evidence of Julius Jones's guilt. And I also hope they realize what a threat he still is to our society. He is not a good person. He is a threat, and we will all be in danger if he is let out.
When this happened, I was in high school. Like most of us were, college, we were all scattered. He was found guilty, and that was it for me. We went on down the road. We had Christmases, Thanksgivings, everything without Paul. Then all of a sudden this got brought up, correct? And I don't know about you guys, but it made me second guess the decision 100%. Kelly and I were like, oh my gosh. Then about 5 minutes later, when we calmed down and started digging into it, weeks later of looking into this evidence, I found what the attorneys found, what the DA found, what the judge found.
But within 5 seconds of looking it up and looking at the court documents, which all of that is online and available, within 5 seconds, your mind is changed.
I did that.
I mean, there was a second where I was like, well, wait. But then after that, no, this is ridiculous. This is absolute trash. This is drama to get money to.
If you didn't know the background, it was very compelling.
It was.
But if you knew the background, you knew immediately what kind of lies they were throwing out and how outrageous it was, and that they could get away with that and pitch it as the truth, and that's what was again.
Yeah, I was a kid when this happened, and when everyone went through the court process, like I mentioned in my speech at the Pardon and Parole Board, like once this all started blowing up like a year or 2 years ago, I had to be like, okay, I need to make a decision for myself. Like, did he do it? And he 100% did it.
If he is so innocent, why wouldn't the 13 other trials have proved it?
Right.
And the way through the appellate, through everything. And so,
because
he's
not
innocent, all this stuff would have come out then, not for a TV show.
It's because he's not innocent.
Yeah.
Because the facts are there.
It's incredibly painful to see that these people and celebrities are advocating to release this man. And I think that what we wanted to talk about today is why we believe Jones is guilty. I have seen in a lot of these social media posts and on these interviews, people are acting like this information has been fed to us too. And they're like, oh, we feel sorry for this family because they believe these things against this man who obviously is innocent. And it could not drive me more crazy. And I'm like, no, we are actually the ones that lived it. We have seen every single piece of evidence, every shred of transcripts, and actually know exactly what happened. And so I think that is one of the main things that I want to get across, and I think that we probably as a family just want to get across, is this wasn't something that was just fed to us.
Right. This isn't new information to us.
Yeah, this is not new information. Yeah.
We've been there from day one.
Yeah,
exactly.
Last 22 years. Yeah.
Seeing it unfold.
And here are the reasons why we believe that he is guilty of this crime.
And one thing I want to say is I think we've all spoke about this before, but if he was innocent, I believe every single person at this table would be proclaiming that he was innocent.
Absolutely.
100%.
I think that's very important that people know, is if we thought that, we would be in the same position stating he's innocent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I also think that if he and his whole entourage, his whole campaign was not based on lies and nothing but lies, we might have some compassion for him. But since it is all lies, my compassion level is
if you would have
less than it was a while back.
Yeah, if you would have
just said
They'd ask for forgiveness rather than
and I didn't mean to, which is supposedly what he told Liddell King or something like that.
Told a couple of people.
He told,
Several.
Yeah, if you would have asked me like 5 years ago if I had anger towards him, I mean, I was angry, but not as angry as I am now. So like Bill said, like my compassion level for him has really gone down because he just continues to lie and has built this entire, support system around him based off lies.
So all of these Jones people are starting at the last offense, which was 5 years ago-ish or something like that. We started back 22 years ago with the facts, and that's what's hard to swallow on a lot of this.
And I think that one of the things, kind of bringing it back to the last defense, and all these people are hanging their hats on things that are in a it's a
Made for
docudrama.
TV.
Yes, docudrama.
Docudrama.
Again, that is this same group of this media that is pushing all of this, that's shopping all of these stories to the celebrities that are, I mean, literally we've had people tell us that has been shopped to them and are feeding them these exact same storylines that everyone's repeating verbatim, all these exact same storylines. And so we have to remember that this is media. The 911 call from Big Bill.
I just bawled.
He lost everything.
I think
in
I
my
called
willpower.
Emily and we were both
it's the
hysterically
worst.
crying on the phone talking about it.
And then the fact that they came and filmed at my mom's house, because my mom still lives in the house to this day where it happened, just right down the road. The film crews would come in the middle of the night to reenact scenes, never asking anything. I mean, it's just kind of common courtesy, I think. But they never checked the other side. They never ask questions. And again, they say that they reach out and stuff. But again, all of that is just gonna go against exactly what they're like trying to get across. And again, is for entertainment purposes. So I just think that the way that they went about it was very
And it doesn't
Inconsiderate.
have to be based on
Yeah.
facts.
it doesn't have to.
And what we're saying here is based on facts and evidence proven in a
Be
court of law.
documented.
Yeah.
Documented, everything.
I think one other point that's important is where the Jones supporters have tried to express their compassion for the victims in the Howell family. That's just words. It has not been shown with the filming at night and actions, and you hear a lot of compassion coming from their camp, but it's just, again, more words
Than
and
actual
more
action.
It's just to get more ratings.
Lip service.
Yeah.
The calls, the letters,
Yeah, it's
everything.
good publicity maybe. But
Well, I just think this is, it shows what we're up against in terms of just this really well-oiled, really well-funded media machine and how they can twist the truth, how they can manipulate the truth and really play on people's emotions, which I think is what has got all these people involved. Oh, this poor innocent man that's been wrongly convicted. Well, like all of you have said, look into the facts and you will see right away this man is not innocent, he is guilty. And it's just become this freight train that is out of control.
Yeah.
That's a good description, a freight train that's out of control. It's hard to stop.
this whole thing that the defense is putting out is trying to say that he's innocent. And to me, that gets me more than any single point, not commuting his sentence or whatever, but to try to imply that he's not 100% guilty, which is what they're saying is the overriding thing here. And all
What
this
he's saying.
and all of our efforts has been showing the Julius Jones people just how outright wrong and how their lies have affected this whole thing through social media.
The jailhouse snitches are a big topic in my opinion. I think who we need to address their character and their histories. I think people from the outside hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, it's the truth is coming out. Well, hold on, pump your brakes here, sister.
Well, the first one was Christopher Berry, who is is on death row for the murder of a child where he poured hot oil all over the kid's genitalias before beating him to death. Has been proven as a pathological liar as well. Then we have Emmanuel Littlejohn,
Diagnosed.
who murdered a store clerk in cold blood, right? And he's also been proven as a pathological liar.
Correct.
But again, like we've said before, is one thing we hear all the time is these guys had nothing to gain by being snitches. Well, these guys are on death row. I mean, they have nothing to lose as well.
Who listens to jailhouse snitches on both sides of the fence?
Justice for Baker Mayfield does.
Yeah.
The prosecution chose not to.
Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian
Mindy Patinkin.
Amy
Mandy
Schumer.
Patinkin. James Corden. All of these people.
And
They obviously think that jailhouse snitches that are pathological liars
On death row.
on death row are more trustworthy than eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
DNA.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And
One thing I was going to say, Julius Jones's alibis, his whole story, cannot be corroborated by any of the facts. And the only people that they're using to establish his alibi are obviously his desperate and impassioned family members, Julius Jones himself, who's a murderer, and prisoners that are on death row. They don't have any substantial witnesses like we have, like the factual side of the eyewitnesses. It's all just this core of people who really have no physical evidence. They're just these people that are either his family members or on death row.
I know there's not supposed to be cross-contamination between different clientele, but you have to think that maybe they had overheard somebody talking or something like that. So it's not like that they didn't have any access or were completely not involved in any, they didn't
Plus,
have any
their
connection
two
to it.
stories did not corroborate each other.
The stories did not corroborate.
In fact, they contradicted each other.
Christopher Berry's implicated Jones in the murder, but just as the driver and not the shooter.
Right.
Well,
but it's still, again, is the inconsistency
Littlejohn,
of it.
they put him under a lie detector test, correct, about Jones and Jordan, and he failed the lie detector test.
I think it was inconclusive.
Yeah, it was inconclusive. But
Yeah, it was inconclusive.
but he also, in his appeals, his appeal was on the basis of him having brain damage.
Right.
And so, again, being able to remember, you have to just, the credibility there.
And the third
it's
one
not
that came
there.
out, which was Roderick Wesley,
Mhm.
he's the one in Arkansas that spent some time with Jordan in prison.
Also diagnosed pathological liar.
Right.
Yep.
Admitted to hearing voices in his head.
Correct.
He's got a rap sheet of anything that could financially benefit him, which is funny because then you look at his commissary reports and they've quadrupled 4 times since he came out and gave his statement.
That right there is insane to me. So you're saying that once he came out with this, his commissary accounts quadrupled.
Yeah.
And he said also,
I don't
so
think he's the only one either.
well, no, of course not. And he also said that he only remembered it after he watched The Last Defense.
Sandra Elliott was the prosecuting attorney for Julius Jones and got him sentenced to murder. And she also was the prosecuting attorney for Littlejohn and got him sentenced to murder.
Correct.
And so Littlejohn was really headed in for Sandy.
Yeah, had some
He wanted to
motive.
get back.
Right.
He had motive.
Yep.
And
Motive to lie.
I feel
And
for
nothing to
sure
lose.
that that's the reason he did this, to get back at Sandy.
You bet.
Nothing to lose, Megan.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
He's on death row.
Everything to
Yeah.
gain from it. And so then they said that they had nothing to gain from this, which is absolutely false.
Which baffles me is these people that are supporting Julius Jones literally hear this on the news. Oh, these jailhouse people are coming, through with the truth, when not anybody in their right mind would trust someone with that background.
We have to remember that 2 of these people were there during the trial phase. And so the defense has said that because they didn't call these people up, that the defense was inefficient, right? And so not calling these up was a strategy. It went through all the appeals process on this basis during, I think it was one of the petitions. The appellate court system reviewed every single piece of this and said that the defense was completely correct in their use of not putting these 2 people in the stands, and that's why that they declined this on the basis of these 2 snitches
Sandy
coming
could've
out. So
Torn
well,
apart
they could have torn it apart.
Littlejohn's.
Well, I mean, you have to
any
look at that in a
testimony.
reverse, because we do have testimony from other jailhouse informants that were separate from any of the eyewitnesses that then said that Julius had bragged about committing these murders. He had specifics about Rachel waving, specifics about the gun going off, and again said that he saw people from coming in from the house, and so he shot again because he thought that they were going to come and get him. So we have other testimony from people that the prosecutors did not use based on the fact that you could tear it apart and it's not a good strategic decision. And this
They're
is
easily impeachable witnesses.
a common practice that is used amongst any defense and prosecution to not put up witnesses that can't corroborate exactly in these jailhouse snitches because of based on credibility alone. This wasn't an inefficient defense. It was literally them being strategic. The appellate courts, court after court, decision after decision states the exact same thing.
In fact, in almost every appeal, ineffective counsel is always one of the things that's claimed.
Yes.
They claim.
Well, it's important.
I feel like that's where a lot of it
I think that the strength in us talking, the strength about getting this out is these little things that the defense and this new team are hanging their hats on are just it's dumbfounding to me that they are able to get these things through.
Fabricated stories, 100% lies, trying to use things that jailhouse, snitch, pathological liar testimony. Like, why would we want to believe that? Our defense could have done that too.
Like, they are putting their faith in someone who poured hot oil on someone's genitals and beat a baby to death.
Baby, yeah.
didn't
And
look
beat
it
a
up.
child. Can you
don't look it
imagine
up.
that? Like I look at these and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how can you endorse this person?
Yeah.
It's got to be the truth.
It makes me
Emmanuel
so sick to
Littlejohn
my
said
stomach. I'm thinking about my children, and like again, like I think that everybody who's talking against this has the best of intentions at heart. I do. We all as a family have our own. But I think that people want to put. They're trying to do good in the world. Like I think that everybody's on the same page. That we want kindness and love, and we're trying to make justice. We're trying to, seek justice. I think that's such a big topic in today. But while you have the best of intentions, you are also promoting things in this case, and I'm not talking about anything else, but for this case, things that are just heartbreaking.
I think the thing that is most appalling to me though, with like celebrities and these influencers and athletes talking about our trauma, and like a family member that we lost, they're advocating for Julius Jones, but they're not even trying to talk to the victim's family. It's like, how are you not thinking about the victims in this?
If you listen to what James Corden said, if you listen to what Kim Kardashian said,
it's like their publicist just went and...
Well, they did.
It is exactly the same thing, the same bullet points for every single one of these celebrity conversations.
It was shock to them. It was shock. We've had people come to us and say, this was shock to me. Here was a story that I was given. They said, hey, will you do this?
Yeah.
And so it was shock to all of these people.
Julius Jones is 1,000% guilty.
Yeah. And people are just blindly pressing agree, petition.
And what they literally don't realize is they're advocating for a murderer.
Absolutely.
If it was their family member that got shot, I guarantee you they wouldn't be speaking on it. One of the film producers that went with Kim Kardashian to visit Julius Jones at McAllister Jail in November of 2020, his name's Scott Budnick. He did like old school, like all those, like The Hangover, all those comedy movies. Then he also did that justice movie called Just Mercy, and he's a social justice reform guy. Anyway, he found me on Instagram. We talked, we texted. So he has had, I didn't tell him anything. I just said, here's, I've grown up with this and I have a lot of thoughts on it, but, blah, blah, blah. He wanted to meet. I said, I'll let you know. We dropped it. Thanksgiving happened. I never heard from him again. So he has had my contact info this whole time and hasn't said one word to me. So...
That's just another one.
Yeah, him and Kim could have reached out to me. He has my cell number. So
did anybody get contacted by Dr. Oz, perhaps, or by the Washington Post, or
James Corden?
James Corden,
did he
perhaps.
Reach out to you?
Right? No.
Did you guys watch that? I watched that whole thing.
It was awful.
Yep. I watched it. So James Corden, it was a 5+ minute thing on literally most of the topics that we've addressed. And it sounded so elementary. Spoon-fed, elementary, unfactual. It was embarrassing when you know the facts that someone of that stature.
He's a jerk.
He is.
No, I used to think he's hilarious. I used to love watching his show.
It's like a punch in the gut because, I enjoy entertainment. I enjoy going to films and watching shows. These are celebrities that I, derive entertainment from. And they have such a following and such a voice. And I think that's a point that you made earlier on, Aaron. It's just you hear all of them, and every single one of them, it's the same story. It's the same, 3 to 5 bullet points. Clearly, none of them have done their research, and I find it just unbelievably irresponsible.
Yeah.
But not just them, but people in their camps. They've had no consideration for our family and for the victim and for the pain that we have gone through and continue to go through. And they're a large part of the fact that this is still just such a part of our lives when all we want to do is just get on with our lives and live our lives without, I'm scrolling through Instagram, looking up recipes, and here's stupid, Amy Schumer, who is a comedian who I find hilarious, and she has a lot of issues that I support, and she's posting that video that the Julius campaigns puts out about, getting him off death row, and I just think, oh my God, but what do I do? How do you fight back against these people? She has 10 million Instagram followers.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like when you have this many followers, don't you think that you would do more research?
You have all the trauma of losing Paul and having to go through life without him, and then you have this in your face. People that you used to derive entertainment from that are just spreading this insane lie.
They're sheep. They're just listening to what other people are telling them to gain social media followers. That is why they're doing it. Make no mistake about it. This is all for personal benefit from each of these people.
Just because they have celebrity and followers doesn't mean they have.
Well, it's like
charity.
every celebrity endorsement, right? So, I mean, they don't put up the skincare on their pages because they actually promote the skincare. It's because they're getting paid for it,
That's
right? So they,
Oh, 100%.
yeah, so all of this content that is on most of theirs outside of maybe a personal thing or two, again, is all spoon-fed to them because of money.
If you want to be a lawyer, Kim Kardashian,
Go get a
research
lawyer.
the facts. Don't just advocate for someone based off lies if you're trying to become a lawyer. Then base your opinion.
Yeah, amen, Rachel.
You watch these television shows that come on that are now talking about all this stuff. You see these celebrities endorse all this kind of stuff. And it's one thing for like a celebrity to endorse something like a hair care product, but it's another to endorse a capital murder case.
While this is a worthy cause, I personally support social justice reform.
I do too.
In
Yeah,
this
same.
particular case, they have got it wrong.
Justice reform was meant for not murdering, not for capital murder cases. It was meant for, drug charges,
Petty thefts,
non-violent.
things like that.
Yeah.
It's been, was sent to prison for life because they had, an ounce of marijuana on them.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
That's what this was made for, not for this.
Yeah.
They're talking about followers. We've got a total of 400. They've got millions of followers on these sites. Go follow our page for Justice for Paul Howell and spread it. Spread the truth, because that's what we're trying to do. That's what I was going to say earlier, Brian. We don't have the $1 million, but we have the truth. Yeah. Sounded so cliche, but goodness gracious, is it true or what? Like, that's all we have.
What they need to do is take the human side and enlarge that and understand that this has been 22 years for you all. And it will be something that carries with you all regardless of what the governor decides forever. Mm-hmm. And so if they can put themselves in that position as, bleeding hearts, we're here for the people, then be here for the people. And that includes both sides. And so it's selfish and it's short-sighted for them to jump in on one side as this is the craze to talk about without thinking of the repercussions of folks that live with this every day for decades.
This Jones movement is like, oh, we just don't want an innocent man to be killed. We don't want this innocent man to be killed. And the fact is, an innocent man was killed. Mm-hmm. He is dead. Mm-hmm. And they lose sight of that. Like, where is the value and the care for his life and the people in his life? And like you said, that have to live with this. That decision was made, unfortunately, 22 years ago by Julius Jones. Paul didn't have a say. If Julius had asked him for the keys, he would have given him the keys. He would have given him whatever he asked for. But his life, it was taken. An innocent man is dead.
Yeah.
And until this happens to you and your family, which I'm afraid it's going to be
more common,
it's fewer, farther between.
This has happened before, where they've let people out of prison and they've killed other people.
It happened in Oklahoma here a while back when the Pardon and Parole Board let this guy out.
Lawrence Anderson.
Killed 3
Lawrence
people.
Anderson.
And again, that's a public safety notice, which is also the Pardon and Parole Board said that none of their rules will go against the public safety. Well, the violation of that rule, that's our public safety. This is our community. Oklahomans should be furious that this is happening. They should be terrified for their children.
Yeah.
These people are being allowed to go back into our society. We should be terrified for our families. Like, I don't want my kids running around with people like this on the street. Are you kidding?
I'm terrified for our family.
Yeah.
Either way.
Oh, absolutely. And especially speaking out on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, people have reached out to Megan trying to get her to change her stuff. It's compiling on top of the trauma of it.
What I hope that comes from this is that people learn the true facts and evidence of Julius Jones's guilt. And I also hope they realize what a threat he still is to our society. He is not a good person. He is a threat, and we will all be in danger if he is let out.
Yeah.